recently I've gone to a different conference, and I'm on a journey to just kind of find out where I am and what I believe. And I heard something that I want to say. I don't want to believe, but I want your input.
Before you go further, we will hear you further, but we just want to say one thing to you. There are all kinds of things that many people believe, like cancer, that you don't necessarily want to hold in your consciousness and activate within yourself. And so we really do not see a lot of value in trying to pin the universe down to truths, because the truth of what anyone lives is just the byproduct of how they hold their thought. You see?
Yes.
So we'll go here with you, but
okay.
we want you to understand that what is what someone has held in their consciousness long enough to manifest.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So there are a lot of truths that are true.
For that person.
For whoever is holding them as a vibrational tendency. Yes.
Okay, so here's my question. If, before we came into physical form, was it true, or is it true, that we had our life plan already directed for us, and therefore we have no free will?
It is true in the sense that your source energy, knowing that you are coming into a fantastic environment, knowing that you're a deliberate creator, and knowing that the potential for ecstasy or agony are there. In other words, you knew that you were a creator, and you knew that the environment would inspire your moment-to-moment creation, and you knew that you were worthy, and you knew that it would be a really good time, and you knew that you were eternal beings, and you knew that you would be focused here only momentarily, and you knew that no matter what happened, you would reemerge into the pure positive energy. So in that sense, you had your life planned out because you knew it would be a valuable, exciting, delicious time of adventure on the leading edge of thought. It is not true that every thought about what this life would be was thought before you came. If that were true, you would not have come. You came forth to let the contrast inspire the new thought, because this is a universe that is attraction-based. So until there is an asking, there is no answering, you see. So you said, from your non-physical God state, I will go forth into this environment, and the perspective that is me, will be inspired to new desire that will call forth new life experience. So, of course, that statement is ridiculous. We have never heard anything further from the reality of how it is established. But anyone who wants to believe that will be powerless in their own experience, and they will make it their truth.
Good. And that's how I was feeling, but I was like really rejecting this, and yet...
Well, rejecting it only activates something within you don't want.
Okay.
In other words, pushing against an idea that does not please you keeps it active within you. The thing that is tricky, you see, talking about beliefs that are dominant, this happens with physical folks because you've come to this place where you don't understand what's happening in your life experience, because you have not been trained to pay attention to the way you feel. You've been trained to disregard the way you feel, to keep a stiff upper lip, that life isn't supposed to be fun, and that through your struggle and hard work you justify your existence. So what happens is you look out into environments and you see things not wanted, and you shout no at them, never realizing that every time you shout no at them, you activate them and you about it, and you hold it into your experience. And so then, over time, as you feel no control in your experience, then you start trying to explain why you've got no control in your experience. And you assign it to someone else. So you give God all of the credit for what's happening or not happening. That's why God is such a schizophrenic in man's eyes. God punishes, and God rewards, and God blesses, and God damns, and God curses. In other words, you don't want to get crossways of God, because God could zap you with lightning, with a bolt of something, and finish you off right away. And in other words, you've created this image of God as your puny excuse to explain why your life today is not going better. And we say, the only reason your life today is not going better is because you don't have control of your own vibrations. You're flowing vibrations all over the place. You're observing stuff you don't want. You're observing stuff you want. You're observing stuff you don't want. You're observing stuff stuff you want, and you're looking all over the place, activating it all over the place. You're like a cork on a raging sea, and you say, I don't have any control of my life. Somebody else must have control of my life. And the fact that my life sucks, or the fact that my life is going well, must be that somebody else had a plan for me, and I can't do anything about it. I'll just live my life. And we say, you've come here to be creators. You are creators. That's why you're here. Let the God that is within you shine through you, but you have to feel the shining out. In other words, you cannot allow it to come while you're grumbling about what is. Religion is such an interesting thing because you have fashioned it in order to explain where you are, when what you are about is coming forth to be who you are and to allow who you are, you see.
Well, I appreciate everything. And most I appreciate at the end of your tapes where you say there's great love here for you. I feel it so. And there's great love here for you.
We feel it.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Abraham, thank you so much for sharing your teachings. I can't tell you how much they've changed my life and others that were open to receiving it. My question is, not only for me, but for people in my organization, is how we can work less and play more.
Think more and do less. Next. What we mean by that is, if you take the time to align thought so that you allow the universe to fill in appropriately, it requires far less action from you. And in the action that you're then not applying toward your work endeavor, you can play with it. So the answer is play more and work less, and then you'll be able to play more and work less. Did you write that down? Play more and work less, and then you'll be able to play more and work less. But if you play and feel guilty because you think you should be working, you might as well be working. So you have to decide that playing is appropriate and allow yourself the playing. It's tricky because if you believe that you should work hard in order to make something happen, then you got to work hard to make it happen. If you believe that playing is lazy and unproductive, then you never feel really comfortable playing. And that's what goes on with so many. You've picked up these thoughts along your trail and made them dominant thoughts, and then you desire in opposition to your dominant thoughts, and then you can't get things lined up. So you have to reorient yourself. So let us ask you some questions. Now, we ask you to answer quickly, and don't give us the word you think we want to hear. Give us the word that first comes to your mind. And you can all call out if you want to, just for your own personal experience in this. As the virtuous being that you want to be, do you really think that it is better to work or to play?
Play.
Really? You really think that? You think that now. You think that now because we have influenced you to what, but now think about your children. So it's Saturday morning and you have a long list of things that need to be done. And this is the only opportunity. And they want to play. Do you want them to play or do you want them to do their chores? Which is a virtuous thing? And how do you counsel them? Do you say, all right, kids, play? Or do you say, we've got some things that need to be done, and when we get our work done, then we can play? What is it, folks? In other words, you can't kid us. We read your energy. You do think that work is more virtuous and that play is more frivolous. And while you want to give yourselves permission to play, you've been programmed to believe that play is only when the work is done. And we're wanting you to realize that whether you call it play or work, let's not call it play or work anymore. Let's call it satisfaction. Let's call it meaningful experience. Let's call it joyous moments. Let's call it mining opportunities to feel good. So, mining an opportunity to feel good could be a very productive endeavor. In other words, to Esther, computer work is play. Because she loves the expansion in it, even though many would call it work. They go to work to do it. Esther doesn't see it as work. She sees it as play. So we think it's the differentiation between my free time and my bondage time that is at issue here.
If I can give an example, a lot of us have to do follow-up work with prospects. And my organization gets very frustrated when they don't call back. And then 2 days later, make a call again, or a week later, make a call again. And it's kind of reminding me, it's like the universe. We've called this person. I want them to call me back without having to keep making that phone call to try to reach them.
Well, do you want them to call you back if they don't want to call you back? In other words, do you want them to take the action no matter what their alignment is? Or would you really just like people to call you back who want to call you back? In other words, let's play it a little stronger. Let's say that you call someone who you love and they love you. And you say, call me back, and they call you right back. Now let's say you call someone who doesn't want anything to do with you. You really don't want anything to do with them. You say, call me back. You really want them to call you back? Feels like we're off the track here just a little bit. But stay with us. In other words, what's at the motive? Why do you want them to call you back?
Closure. For me, it would be just, okay,
well, if they don't call back, we'd call that closure.
But why does
it have to be closure on your terms? Why can't it be closure on their terms?
I guess the reason I say that is because sometimes after keep trying to call somebody and finally reach them, they say, you've been on my mind, I'm really interested, I'm glad you kept you were persistent.
They're lying.
But they ended up going on.
You asked us a question at the beginning that is so important for us to re-amplify here. You said, how can we have more play and less work? And we say, stop working where it's hard. Stop trying to squeeze blood out of a turnip. Understand that the timing isn't right yet. In other words, that's like stomping on the ground after you've planted the kernel of corn and saying, where are you, you bugger? I know you're in there. Come out where I can see you. I want to eat you. You say, well, that's ridiculous. I know that I must allow the growing of it. And in time, there will be a time for the plucking of the corn, but it isn't right now. And so, in very direct answer to your question, pick the fruit that's ripe and ready to be picked, and that which is resistant, let it ripen. The reason that you don't do that is because you're afraid it will ripen and somebody else will pluck it. So you're saying, I'll pick you while you're green, and I'll suffer with you, and I'll guard you, and I'll protect you, and I'll nurture you, and I'll work the life out of myself in the process until I'm feeling that I have no play and all work. And then, at some point, when you're ready, I'll be there. And we say, but you'll be a withered shadow of who you really are by then. In other words, let those who are ready call you back. In other words, those that are ready, it's easy when it goes. And if it's not easy when it goes, it's work, you see. It's resistance.
I can say
we know there's all those stories. All those stories they will tell you is that, I'm so glad that you persevered with me, because if you hadn't, I wouldn't have come along. And we say, yes, they would have. Yes, they would have.
Well, it felt so good last night, just letting it all go and sitting down with a good book, and I had the best time and was feeling so good, saying it just doesn't matter.
And when you do that, those who are ready will be there. It is our expectation, watch for it, that things that felt stuck won't be Monday. In other words, in that releasing, you sort of allowed yourself to align. Something that happens is that you have these desires that are very clear, and then you're frustrated about what's happening, and in your frustration, you're not in alignment with your own desires. So even those who are ready for you can't come to you because you're out of alignment, you see. It's a process of trying too hard. You just have to relax and trust that when they're ready, and if they're ready, they'll be there. And otherwise, you want the banana to ripen. In other words, you can take that green thing home, and you can get the peeling off of it, and you can chop it up and put it in your cereal, and you can sort of have a sort of banana experience. But if we were in your shoes, we would let it ripen.
Sounds wonderful. I'm ready for that.
Yes, indeed.